Yogi, and welcome to this Yin Yoga deep stretch practice. I'm here with my dog Snow, and we are not going to need any props today for this short and beautifully restorative Yin class. I will just go ahead and meet you on your mat in a comfortable seat whenever you're ready. Okay, so comfortable seat can mean, different things to different people. For me, I like to take Siddhasana with the tops of my feet down and my knees out wide. If this is not accessible to you, you can always elevate your hips on blocks. You can take a crisscross applesauce position, or you might sit up on your knees, or maybe on a block between your knees. Just make sure you're comfortable. If you want to put your back against a wall, that's always an option. And let's get started. We'll rest our hands gently in the lap and allow the eyes to close. And as you do this, notice how there's this very subtle shift that happens in our nervous system. And can you breathe into the exhale? What many people don't know is that we can control our nervous system and therefore our emotional state just by modifying the way we're breathing. So many of us in our fast-paced society will feel quite stressed on a daily basis. And so one exercise that you can try is simply making the exhales longer than the inhales. And this is actually stimulating the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which antagonize your fight or flight response. It slows the heart rate down. It naturally slows the breathing down. It allows the muscles to relax, allows your eyeballs to relax, and promotes a sense of spreading and receiving in the organs. A lot of us clench our stomach. We have digestion problems because we're so often stressed. So tuning into that parasympathetic response here. Good. You don't have to do anything else. Just drop the chin down towards the chest. And then as you continue this practice of exhaling longer than inhaling, see if you can imagine breathing into the center of your chest, as if you were breathing the heart up into the nose and away from it. Rolling the right ear to the right shoulder, and then back down towards the chest, over to the other side, and back down to the chest. Over to the right, and down over to the left. And if you feel ready, you might take your head all the way around, and then making sure to switch sides. Good work, Yogi. So we are going to start class today actually standing up. So unusual in a Yin class to start standing. So basically what we're going to take is banana asana, standing. So we're going to bend over to the left first. We'll take the right foot and step it behind the left heel. And then on inhale, let's sweep the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, you might grab the right wrist with the left hand and pull the right arm up and over, sashaying, if you will, your hips over to the right and pressing down through the big toe mound of each foot. So we don't want to go so deep that we can't comfortably hold, that we find that we're tensing up in the face or even in the mind. And so for a standing posture like this, that might mean that you can't go very far at all. And that's all right. You can ask yourself, is that all right with your ego? And what would you tell your ego if it wasn't all right? Good. We'll just be here for a few more breaths. You might experiment with dropping the chin down towards your left armpit. Big breaths into the right side ribs. And then on your next inhale, we'll rise up, reaching the arms high, uncrossing the legs. And then exhaling over to the other side, we'll step the left foot behind the right, grab the left wrist with the right hand. Big inhale to stretch up, and exhale, take it over to your depth. You can bring a slight smile to your lips. Then you might take the chin down towards the right armpit. See how that feels. Spreading through left ribs and creating more space in the right ribs too. The next inhale will come to center, uncrossing the feet, reaching the arms high. And then exhale, we'll dive forward into a fold. So a yin style fold, meaning we will, actually I'll face this way, meaning that we will keep the knees bent as much as we need. Letting the fingertips sparkle down towards the floor. And for some of us, this might mean resting the torso all the way onto the thighs with the knees bent quite a lot. For me, I'm halfway between straight knees and super bent knees because it feels better in my low back to bend my knees and let my back round. So one thing you won't hear in Ashtanga yoga classes particularly is that it's okay not to have a flat back when you forward fold. In fact, for some of us, it might actually be damaging to our SI joint and our lumbar spine if we were to force that lower back into extension like that. So for a lot of us, rounding the low back with a soft bend in the knees will take the tension out of the low back, and it's also more gentle on the hamstrings. Letting your head be heavy. Giving the neck a rest. It's always upright, supporting the head. So postures like this are much needed and deserved. You might bring some gentle swaying here, just to gently relieve any remaining tension in the low back. And we'll take one more cycle of breath here. And let it go. Good. Inhale. We'll start to look forward, letting the knees bend a lot. And then exhale, we'll come into our squat. So turning the knees out, toes out, and sinking the hips down. So for some of us, the heels will lift because there is a deficit in ankle flexibility, which is fine. Actually, some of us actually just have shorter Achilles tendon, so for some of us it may have nothing to do with flexibility. Anyway, if your heels lift, it's fine. You can also sit up on a block if you'd like to further stretch the Achilles and you're tight like that. For me, I broke my ankle recently, and this left ankle joint is very stiff. So it feels much better for me to come up on the toes. Wherever you are, can you spread your collarbones wide, spread your shoulder blades wide? And then you can stay here if that feels good, or you might let the back begin to round. You might bring the chin to the chest. You can even interlace the fingers, lightly grabbing the base of the skull and tugging it forward. That's going to feel nice on those trap muscles between the neck and shoulders, which do a lot of work and hold a lot of tension for many of us. Let's take 3 more cycles of breath here. Okay. I'll have to cut this out. All right, and we'll gently lift the gaze. I have a dog on a mission to be pet here. Good. And if it's okay for your knees, we're going to sit back, back behind the heels. If it's not okay for your knees, take your hands behind you. Walk your feet forward a little and then sit down. And all we're going to do here is windshield wiper the knees from side to side. So bringing the femurs into internal rotation after that deep external rotation. Good. Maybe rolling the tailbone up and down a little bit. You can even dip one shoulder and then the other, just finding some front body opening. Good. Maybe you even want to reverse table it, lifting the hips, lifting the gaze. These are all just options, finding whatever movement feels restorative for your body in this moment. And then when you're ready, we'll set the hips down. And we'll walk the heels forward for a half hero's pose, or half saddle is called in yin. So we'll bend the left knee back, coming onto the top of the left foot. You can grab a hold of the muscle in the left leg, so it's easier to sit down. You want to make sure that both sitting bones are close to grounded. For a lot of us, if there is any kind of tightness in the ankle or the knee joint, there's a tendency to roll over towards the extended leg. So it might feel nice to actually place a block underneath your right buttock, which will prevent that rolling. But again, this is yin, so asymmetrical stress is actually fine. We just don't want there to be pain. So it feels better for me to have my sitting bones flat on the mat. From here, you have 2 options. You can fold forward over your front leg, keeping in mind that a straighter spine will be hamstring, rounded spine will be more superficial back line of fascia, and I guess, yeah, that's mostly it. Or you can go backwards. So I'm going to go backwards here. So for a half reclined saddle, many of you might be able to lay all the way down, extending the arms overhead. For me, it feels nice to come back a little, but not all the way. So elbows is good. Making sure that there's no pain in the lower back. So if there is any twisting in the low back, it's usually not a very comfortable feeling. And it may be an indication that your hips are not able to stay square here for any reason. So you might use a block. And if you're up on a block, please don't go back. It's going to put excessive stress on the knee joint and the ankle joint. You can drop the head back if that's comfortable for you. returning to your breath. Letting your awareness be on this body. Come out of this, we'll reverse the steps. So lifting the head first, coming onto elbows, then hands. Then leaning to the right, sweeping the left leg forward. Ooh, flexing the feet, maybe pedaling out the ankles a little. And then when you're ready, we'll switch sides, grabbing the block if you need. Knowing that both sides can feel quite different. It's common. So if you can't go down as far on this side, that's fine. Just the main thing is that we want to always be nourishing the body in all yoga, asana. We don't want to be inflicting damage because if we're doing that, we're either not present or we're ignoring signals from our body in favor of ego. So trying to become more mindful about the sensations that come up for us in yoga and why we might be doing something that we're doing that may not feel good. So you don't have to flex the left ankle. You can relax that whole leg. For me, it actually feels nice to flex it right now. But you can be as relaxed as possible. Stilling your gaze on one point will help you keep your focus one-pointed. Or for a more advanced variation, you can close the eyes and find a focal point inside. We'll take 3 more breath cycles here. Inhale, we'll reverse our steps. Take your time, exhale. We will release. Rolling over to the left, sweeping the right leg forward, pedaling out the knees. Let's come down onto the back, hugging the knees into the chest for Apanasana. Just letting the spine round here. Letting the hip flexors release. Letting your shoulder blades spread. Letting the back of the neck be long along the mat. Letting the forehead be smooth. And letting the breathing be slow. We might count to an inhale for 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can choose to continue. In fact, counting can be a very helpful anchor for a meditative practice. Good. Let's take one last inhale here. And exhale. Inhale. We'll drop the knees over to the left, bumping the hips right for supine twist. Any variation of supine twist is fine here. Some of us might let the knees stagger so that we can get the shoulder blades flat, and that's really targeting the thoracic spine. Or you can keep the knees together, and so the spine will be lower. The twist will be lower, more into the lumbar spine. So any low back problems, probably want to avoid that. So as a little disclosure here, I am somebody with low back pain. I've had it for most of my life at this point. So a lot of traditional yoga postures are just inaccessible to me. So as somebody who, maybe shares that experience, you might check out some other videos on my channel just for you, for us, honoring low back pain as a yoga practitioner, and how to modify appropriately, how to strengthen the necessary things, and how to release it when there's pain. Inhale, reach your arms overhead and stretch out your legs in front of you. And then exhale, draw your knees back into your chest, Apanasana. Exhale, blow the air out of the lungs. Inhale, letting the knees draw away. We'll bump the hips left, and exhale, finding your supine twist. Just letting the body surrender here to whatever it wants to do. Breathing deeply into the heart. Let's take our last breath in here. And release it. Bringing the knees back to center. We'll inhale, stretching the arms stretching the legs. And then exhale, Apanasana. Giving yourself a little massage here. And then we'll all exhale our air out. And then inhale to fill the lungs. Taking another sip of air in through the mouth. Feeling the body full of air. And then exhale. Empty the air out. Release your knees. Find your Shavasana shape. Let the whole body melt down into the earth as if it was fresh rainwater seeping down into the soil. Imagining what it would be like if the boundaries of your body became a little less defined. Became more permeable. And became one with your surroundings. My friends, stay here as long as you're called to. I look forward to seeing you again very soon on your mat. Have a good rest of your day.